Hey YouTubers, it's Karl again. Just wanted to give you another quick session here. Today, basically, I got another email from one of our subscribers, and I really want to thank you for this. He asked that I go ahead and keep his name private here, so I'll be happy to do that. Thank you very much. He said, Karl, he had a couple things he wanted to say. He says, it seems like the closings are slow and the financial toll is a little bit hard. It seems I'm now doing a deal a month, when I need 2 or 3 a month to pay a bill. I don't want to cry too much, but I feel like my energy's low. And hey, we've all been there. I know exactly what you mean. So here's the question for you. He says, what do you do to bring your energy up, to get excited, and what helps you stay highly focused when you're in the trenches, when deals do not happen quickly enough? I know about affirmations and dream boards. What's has helped you the most? I do work out every day, and I role play with partners or by myself at least 30 minutes a day. And that's a great question. What is it that you do to help stay focused when everything's going to hell in a handbasket? There's been times where you're asking yourself, what do you do when you're working, but it's not working? Okay? So I understand the concept of the question, and I think it's very natural, and I certainly wouldn't beat yourself up too much about it, because if you've been in real estate more than a day, we've all been there, and I know it's a little discouraging sometimes. One of the things that I personally have done to help keep my motivation up is just remember the 51% rule. You see, the 51% rule, boy, I can't even write. Let me try that again. The 51% rule, 51% is that if you can go ahead and take 51% of your time, okay, and keep it in a positive mode, mindset, if you can keep your mindset in a positive mode 51% of the time, okay, then more often than not, you're going to be in a good day. The question is, how do you get to that 51%, okay? Well, I can go ahead and I can tell you lots of different, mechanical ways to do things. We got dream boards like you mentioned, okay? And if you've never heard of a dream board, basically what it is just a big board like this where you put down pictures of places you want to go, things you want to do, etc., right? The other thing, obviously, is affirmations, which he's already doing, okay? Okay. The other thing, of course, that you could do is role play and practice. You can also go ahead and switch your schedule, which I think he also mentioned that he's doing. He's switching his schedule around. It's a lot like a workout where, if you're working your chest all the time, after a while you can only get so big or so much that's working, but you can't beat that certain weight. But yet, if you go around and you change your workout a little bit, then of course, you start to grow a little bit differently. You could also switch your schedule around a little bit. And these are all great ways to do it. But probably the most efficient thing I've found to do to get this 51% rule going, at least for myself, is to approach this a little bit more scientifically. Okay? Now, you could probably go on YouTube and you could probably find, the studies involved. I don't remember the studies, but there was a number of studies that's been done since the early 1940s to try and figure out, from sociologists and psychologists, what's the best way to motivate people. And what they did is they ran, and this is the early 40s, they ran a study where they had 3 tiers, okay? See if I can make a little staircase there. And they said, look, if you go ahead and you perform this task, whatever this task is, okay, really well, you're going to get $100, okay? And if you do it kind of so-so, you're going to get $50. And if you do, the average, you're going to get $25. And if you really stink, you get $0, okay? And for the mechanical tasks, all right, they found that, obviously, the greater the reward, okay, the greater the reward, the greater the output. Okay, so for strictly mechanical tasks, the more money you gave somebody, the more output they got. Okay, and that's to be expected. I mean, sociologists were not confused by that. As good capitalists in America, we all understand, hey, look, if you take a factory worker and you're paying him $100 an hour to do something, he's going to work really, really hard to make sure this happens because he doesn't want to lose that. So they repeated that several times. But then when it required the task changes from being a mechanical task, no more, to something that has what they call even rudimentary conceptualization. Okay? Even if it had just a little bit of rudimentary conceptualization, meaning you had to think outside the box, thinking that what you had to do was not, flipping burgers, was not turning a dial, was not popping out a license plate, was something that required a little bit of creativity and a little bit of thought and a little bit of, different action. When they tried this scale, okay, they found that the people here, all right, did actually worse than the people here. It made no sense at all. And the question is why? Why is it then that when faced with just the very simplest of creativity and tasks, why is it that they perform so horribly if they get more money? And they couldn't understand it. So they thought, well, maybe this is just an American phenomenon, and let's just take it someplace else. So they took this experiment to another place in India, okay, where the standard of living was much different. And they took that same thing, and they said, okay, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. In this case, we're going to give you 1 month's salary, 2 months' salary, 3 months' salary. And they found out that the same thing occurred there. So it didn't matter if it was the amount of money in terms of weekly pay or monthly amounts, okay? It didn't matter where it was. It didn't matter who it was, their socioeconomic class. And this experiment has been performed over and over and over again over the last 40, 50 years, okay? So the question then is, why is it that when it comes to mechanics, popping out license plates, okay, versus something that requires a little bit of thought, creativity, maybe some more right brain activity here, why is it that this typical model that we use doesn't work? Here's the answer that they found out. The reason why they sort of figured that this works is that people need to have 3 things, okay? People, they want to have autonomy, okay, meaning their ability to go ahead and make the discovery on what they want to do, try to figure out how they want to do things on their own, have control over their own life. Okay, the next thing they want to do is have mastery. They want to be able to master a certain thing, and I'll go into each one of these in just a minute. And then, of course, the last thing they want to do is they want to have some sort of a purpose. What does all this mean? If I'm doing all this work, it's got to account for something. And that's what they found out, that these 3 things, when they inserted these 3 things into the equation as opposed to, 1 month, 2 months supply of 3 months, pay. When you took the pay out of it and you made these the rewards, that's when you started to get the actual performance. Okay? So let's talk about that. Now the autonomy, how they handled this. And this is a good question, a good way to answer your question, how do I get motivated on these days? Okay? Try and take yourself out of this money situation. Okay? Try to disconnect the money out of this for a minute. We all acknowledge money, you need it. Okay? But the money will come if you try and put yourself in this state of mind. Okay? In the autonomy section, autonomy. As an independent real estate contractor, you're going to realize, obviously, that you are in charge. But really, are you? Are you in charge? Are you free? Okay? You see, David Gerber in his book, The E-Myth Revisited, he talked about the 3 stages of the businessman. You had the technician, you had the manager, and then you had the entrepreneur. Okay? And the thing is that when you're creating a business as a real estate agent, okay, a lot of times we get into this business as a technician, meaning that you are responsible for everything. Okay? You are responsible to the clients, you're responsible to the seller, you're responsible to the buyer, you're responsible to everybody else, paperwork and all this and all that. You are responsible for everything. And what he said was, Michael Gerber said, was that when you're creating a business, okay, when you go into business for yourself, when you're creating a business, okay, if you don't become the controller, the manager, the entrepreneur, I should say, of that business, okay, then you have created a job. That's really what you've done. You've created a job. You've created a job. If you're not the entrepreneur, the person who's putting all the pieces together, okay, then you're the one who's doing all the stuff, then all you've done is traded one job for another. Okay? And the problem is, now you're actually in a worse condition, because now you're working for a madman. You're working for somebody who's crazy. Because now, all right, your job that you had before, all right, at least they had some rules about what they could and couldn't do. They'd say, well, you can only work 40 hours a week before we'd have to pay you overtime. They'd say, well, you know, you have to show up at 8 or 9 in the morning, you have to leave by 5, you know, whatever. But in this case, you've created a job working for a madman. And that madman is you, because now you're not subject to those laws. You will work from 7 in the morning till 9 at night. You'll work 6, 7 days a week. You know, there's no restrictions, there's no regulations, there's no governance, okay? And so what happens is, now you found yourself in a position where you are governed by your clients, you're governed by your job, you're governed by everything, and you eventually become to hate it. And that's really what happens, okay? And there comes a point in your career where you say, you know what, I am sick and tired of this, and you just say, forget it, and you walk away, okay? That's what happens. Now, how do you get out of this, all right? How do you get out of this terrible situation you found yourself in? Well, the way you do that is to create autonomy for yourself. And this is going to be a slow process if you're not accustomed to it. All right? But autonomy, what you want to do just to start out. Just to start out. Take 1 day a week. Just 1 day to start off with. And do whatever you want in the business. Whatever you want. Work on your business, not in your business. Okay? That's an important distinction. Work on your business, not in your business. And take that time to work on whatever it is that your company needs. Okay? Now, what they did when they found that out, they did this to a company. They said, okay, you guys have the right to go ahead and work on whatever you want to with whoever you want to, okay? However long you want to. Just show us the results at the end of the day. And what they found was that when they allowed people to have the autonomy to do what they wanted to do, with who they wanted to do it with, however they saw fit, at the end of the day, they saw the results that came up and they found out, whoa, these are some fantastic results. People were a lot more creative, okay? They had great ideas. They had fantastic thoughts. They started thinking to themselves of all the great things they could improve. And that's how their job, their motivation, their happiness, their satisfaction became a lot greater. And they found that by paying bonuses, okay, of say $2,500, okay, that did not get the same results as having the autonomy to do whatever you wanted to do. Now in real estate, autonomy, we have this illusion of autonomy because that you have a independent contractor there, but you're a slave essentially to everybody else. Try and take at least 1 day to do whatever you want to do, okay, on your business, you know, not in your business. Work to make your systems better. Work to make your whole way you do things. Invest for yourself. Whatever it is. Okay, work on something on your business to make it better. That will give you the autonomy that you want. That'll give you a little bit more oomph. Okay, so that's suggestion number one. Now, the next thing they found out is with mastery. Okay, mastery. They found out that people were motivated by mastery. Now think about this. Why do people play the guitar? People play the guitar because it's fun, all right? Because they're out there, they don't get paid for it. They don't go out there and make money, generally, unless they're really good, okay? But they're out there playing the guitar, having a great time, and the reason why they do it is because it's fun. They don't get money. They don't have a lot of, rewards from it or whatever, but they know that with practice, it gets better and more fun. Now, how do we translate that into real estate? Okay, the mastery section, okay, how you become a master in real estate, okay, is just like in this guitar situation, okay, when you start looking at the big picture of what it is that you're trying to accomplish, okay, somebody's trying to sell their home, somebody's trying to get, buy a house, whatever it is, and you can master the process of it, okay, master the process. We talked a minute ago about going ahead and having some autonomous time, a day in the week, so to speak, to go ahead and work on your business. Take that time to master a process inside your business, whether it be how you generate leads, how you generate sales, how you go ahead and manage your paperwork. Write it all out, all right? Get it all systematized. Because then at this point, when you start developing systems, is when you can start to pass that responsibility off to somebody else, which will free you up to be an entrepreneur, to enable you to do more things, okay? Now, if you're like me, after a while, you get to kind of be tired of real estate. And you're like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? So you've started to move away into that, into something else, but yet you've kept your real estate business. So for example, for me, I know that my real estate business, I've started to change a little bit, okay? I've started to move away from the sales part of it all myself. I still do sales, okay? But now I go ahead and I have other people who handle a lot of these sales for me, and I take a lot of joy out of teaching them how to go ahead and do it better, all right? So that for me is a big focus. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't sell. I still sell, but it does mean that I've tried to master some of these processes, and now I'm playing the guitar of my business. My business, I want to try and make it to where it's a lot more fun. For me, it's a lot more fun teaching people how to do stuff and to help them do well and to build my business. And that for me is the mastery part, playing the guitar, which is my business, through mastering the processes that I made with the autonomy that I had earlier, okay? Now, the last step that they found, I don't recall what I called it a minute ago, okay? But I think I called it purpose or contribution. Now, if I told you in 1983, let's say, we went back in time, and we were talking to, let's say, an economist, and I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a bunch of people, okay, highly technical people. I mean, smart, college-educated people, really, really good people, smart, etc., right? And they're going to go ahead and they're going to work for free, all right? Work for free, okay? Doing highly technical work, high-tech work, okay? And they're not going to get any money out of it at all, okay? But they're going to do it for an altruistic reason. Okay? They're just going to give up all this stuff and they're going to do it for free. Why not? Who cares, right? You're going to think to yourself in 1983, boy, this guy's lost his mind. But let's look at what's happened in the last 20, 30 years. Okay? You ever heard of some of these companies? Wikipedia? Right? That's thousands upon millions of people contributing articles and highly technical information that they each and individually put together in there for free to help build this knowledge database. All right? So you think, okay, well, yeah, that's great, Karl. That's a big dictionary. Who cares, right? How about this one? How about Linux? Apache. These are computer operating systems that control easily. Linux controls 30% of the business business operating systems these days. It's completely free. Apache is another web browser type service. Okay? So a lot of these services, okay, Google is a great example, right? Now, when they began, all right, they have people who contributed to that. But the thing that I'm trying to say is that people, especially now, if you look at Google, Google's a great example for a workplace environment. They have, special chefs to come in and feed your food. They have, people who drop you off and take you to work. They have, laundry. I mean, it's incredible the benefits that Google employees get. But the point that I'm trying to make is that people will do all of these things outside of their job, but why? The reason is because they have a purpose. They feel like they want to contribute. They feel like they want to give back. They feel like there's something that they have to accomplish here. Okay? And so what I'm saying to you is this, that once you go ahead and you start to go ahead and have autonomy in your job, you've given yourself the time off, at least one day a week, to go ahead and start working on your business to mix it up a little bit, make the ship a little tighter, so to speak. Then you've gone ahead and created mastery. You've started to take one aspect at a time of your business, and you've worked on it. You've drilled it out. You've figured out the best way to do things, and you've lined it all out so somebody else could come in and take over for you. Okay? And now you've got it down to where there's a purpose. For example, why do I do these courses? I do these courses because it gives back. All right? I do these courses because it helps me learn. I do these courses because it helps me, pay back to the people who've helped me over the past. And now my hope is to you that you'll do the same. So, when you have purpose, that will help you be free. Because you feel like now what you're doing is for a higher reason. It's not just the money. And the money will come. The money does come. But the whole purpose is you have to go ahead and make sure that you have a reason. That's the reason, is to give back and to make it a better place. So, to answer your question, how do I motivate myself when things aren't going great, when things are tough? Okay? I think about these three things. I think about autonomy. I think about what it is I have to do to go ahead and break up my schedule to work on things better for myself, my business. I pick out one or two things that are going to be great to focus on, and then I use that to create a purpose of why it is I'm doing all this and going through all the pain. When I'm picking up the phone and talking to people, there's a reason for it. And the reason is so I can go ahead and build for me a business that does not require my presence, that allows me to go ahead and teach other people so they can be successful, and that way everybody can make a lot of money. So I don't know if that was a whole lot of help or not, but that's what I found out when I researched this topic for you. So anyway, thanks for going ahead and emailing me that question. If you have any other questions, guys, feel free to go ahead and email me directly like he did at kkrentzel@gmail.com. That's KKRENTZEL@gmail.com. Let me know what it is you'd like me to research for you, and I'll do my best to go ahead and get the information to you right away. If you liked what we had to say today, then feel free to go ahead and like, rate, and subscribe. We'd love to hear more from you. Please let your friends know about this free training, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Thanks a lot. Take care, and have a powerful selling day. Bye-bye.